How are things in the UK?
So we've sort of been neglecting the UK a bit, I feel, because we've been focused obviously on the new administration in the US, and you've got to, because that's what's going on. And in the UK, not much has been going on, unfortunately. That's of interest. But
By law.
Yeah, by law, there literally not much anyone can do.
Nobody's allowed to do anything.
But I did find some of the stuff that was going on with COVID kind of hilarious and terrifying.
Oh,
so the hilarious part here is obviously the first thing I wanted to get up, which
terrified laughter ensues. Right, okay.
Essentially.
Yeah, okay.
Is there were a while back there were arrests over disgusting racist COVID-19 stickers.
Oh, don't be racist to COVID-19.
And you might think, well, what's all that about? If you can scroll down, we'll get the stickers up so you can read it. So they were open border, virus disorder, and pubs closed, borders open.
Ooh.
That's the racist stickers.
I mean,
which
was
are disgusting.
That was literally true, though. But I can see that there is a logo, a name attached to this, which I assume is the racist part, really.
I can only assume. I know nothing about this organization. It's not famous in the slightest. But the message there, pubs closed, borders open, is quite a famous meme at this point, which is just that, well, throughout this entire period of lockdowns, we've had our international travel open. Yeah. People can come and go as they will freely. But the borders between the UK nations are getting closed, and also all of our pubs are closed. Like, this doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense.
Literally in Wales, they're not allowed to serve alcohol.
Yeah, there was some funny parts here. So the police said that they arrested 2 people who were aged 20 and 22 and held on suspicion of racially aggravated public order offences for putting these...
Against what race?
I name them. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then there was local council talking about this, saying using this pandemic to spread racism and hatred is unacceptable. Again, what race? Like, it's just absurd.
The French are free to come here, and we're not allowed to say that's wrong because it's racism.
But I think they have found the culprits. I think they have identified who has been doing this, and if you can get the next one up, I think it's Priti Patel. I think they've got him, lads. So this is the news that Priti Patel wanted to close the UK borders in March, and this was a bit of a
disgusting racism.
Yeah, I assume that's the other way to describe it, but it's a mess up by her. She didn't say this publicly. She was on a Zoom call and said it to some supporters. So she says here that last week Johnson announced the suspension of travel corridors to protect against the risk of yet unverified new strains. So apparently the new strains were enough to close the borders, but why not sooner?
Didn't think the new strain would come from within the country, did they?
No. So Priti Patel made the point here, which when she was asked about it, was she was on a call with Conservative Friends of India group. So she does like Zoom calls for each constituency at the moment because there's nothing else to do, is there?
Well, what else are you going to do?
Yeah. So she's calling up the Indian friends. I think she's part Indian. Is that correct? Or part of her
surname
ancestry?
is Patel.
Yeah. So that's I guess why. And she says that she's asked the question by the Conservative Friends of India. Should we have closed our borders earlier? And she answered, yes. I was an advocate of closing them last March.
Based.
So on the right side of the issue there, which is good. And the travel corridors have been put into place, which is the next one. This is The Guardian reporting. UK shuts travel corridors and requires negative COVID test to enter. Why was this not the case for the last year? Patel has nothing. She didn't have a solution, which is just, I was overruled by Boris. Okay.
There we go.
Fair enough.
Well, he does want to build back better after all, doesn't he?
But the irritating part out of all of this is it's a massive win for the Labour Party, which I did not see coming, because they've been able to, they're now like hammering out like close the borders, which is weird. Didn't expect this from them.
Keir Starmer suddenly morphing into his. No, I'm not going to carry on. Let's go.
Okay. So they mention in this article, after months of criticism of the government's lax border policies, which Labour claimed was costing lives, the Prime Minister said that he was tightening the rules to prevent new variants of the virus reaching the UK.
Didn't care that border policies cost lives before, did he?
No.
Did not even slightly care. But now...
I checked up on the Twitter accounts of the Labour Party and Keir Starmer, and yes, they are making posts that are just like, close the borders. Okay.
We're gaining loads of followers with UKIP in their bio.
But it's bizarro world, absolute bizarro world. I don't understand. There is no explanation for this. Why was this not done sooner?
Yeah. We know the answer. The answer is perfectly obvious, and Joe Biden was exactly an example of it.
Mm-hmm.
Xenophobic. It was the Labour Party going, no, that'd be racist. Xenophobic. Literally, the police prosecuting people, going after people for saying maybe the border should be closed if the pubs are also going to be closed. They were on the
Those
side.
stickers are racist for saying we should close the borders.
The Labour Party were on the side of open borders.
Yeah, Priti Patel's stickers and Boris's stickers, I guess, not advisable. But the broader point here is obviously that the lockdown has continued and is going on, and when's it going to end? Well, the BBC were talking about this, and Laura Kusenberg writing, she's the political editor, saying that, well, it's a long-winded article, waste of my time, really. It basically came down to, they don't even know. Like, they kept saying, oh, we'll do it before Easter, and now it's, oh, we'll do it after Easter, and they just keep changing and making up new stuff.
Yeah, I watched Boris's announcement the other day, and they just had it indeterminate. Oh, well, these lockdowns are just going to go on. And it's like, oh, are they? Oh, okay.
Yeah, like
then
some
I
days
guess we'll just accept it.
Until we have X amount of vaccinations, until we have X amount of infections per day. You're just
until the burden on the NHS goes down. Save the sacred, holy NHS, you see, Callum. That's the thing. And it really does show that the NHS has become the cathedral of Britain. It's the new religion. It is the thing to which we must all supplicate ourselves. I hate it. And I don't even hate the NHS. The NHS itself as an institution is fine. I've always had good interactions with it. You know, it's fine. I think it's a decent idea in principle. But sacrificing the country to save the NHS, no, I'm not down with that. Sorry. Just fuck the NHS.
Like, if anything's been worse for the public relations of the NHS, is actually the people trying to support it by promoting clap for them and save it and blah, blah, blah.
And TikTok videos.
TikTok videos.
Just...
Jeez.
I mean, like I said, I didn't hate the NHS, but I do now.
And then I looked on TikTok, and then I began to hate it. Anyway, so they mention here that they don't really have a solution, and it's embarrassing to watch. And there was some...
Why don't they ring up Xi Jinping? Hi, Xi, we're doing your lockdowns. We're implementing them as hard as we can, but we actually don't know why it's not working. We don't know when it ends. Can you give us further instructions, please? God,
lockdown forever would be the advice. Destroy your own economy more.
Exactly. We actually have a bonus a premium podcast talking about this. Myself and Hugo did about a week ago, and it's worth your time because it seems that the origin of the lockdowns was in fact Xi Jinping himself.
Which, why would you trust?
Yeah, exactly. Why would you follow his policy?
Yeah, and there's the next one here was Reuters reporting that Dominic Raab talking about this. So he was hoping that we would end by March, and then has thrown that completely out.
Well, you're the government.
So you're in charge of this. You can decide when this is going to happen. But
you're making people do it.
They won't give a date, and this has also made people pretty suspicious because if we can get the next one, they passed some legislation. No, it should be another Reuters article. No, I think you skipped it. Go back. Sorry.
But right, anyway. Yeah.
So the British government has quietly extended the coronavirus lockdown laws to give councils in England extra powers to close pubs, restaurants, shops, public spaces until July 17th. So they had made it so you can, from a council perspective, extend the lockdowns up until July.
Oh my God.
But, of course, national government hasn't said it, therefore it's not really happening. It's like, well, why did you pass the legislation then? Like, if you're not going to use it, why did you pass it?
So, I mean, what's the plan? Are we to be perpetually in lockdown until people stop dying?
By the looks of it, yeah, it seems to be a zero COVID policy now, where we're trying to eliminate the thing, which...
Oh, God, right, okay.
I don't know how that's going to work.
Oh, God, okay. Yep.
So that's the confirmed of what's happening. There are speculations that it might go even longer than that, but...
Or till September and things like that.
Yeah, things like that. But let's get the vaccination data. So... if you can scroll down here, we can see a graph of vaccinations per 100 in each country. You can see that Israel's doing amazingly well, which, good for them. And then the UAE, much smaller populations than most countries.
Yep.
But then you've got the United Kingdom being third, so the biggest success country. Actually
major
dealing
country
with a major population. And that's at about 10%, which if it carries on, we should end up with about 40% by next month, and then...
What percentage of the UK is vulnerable, like in the vulnerable age category? Like, what percentage of the UK is like over 60?
I think it's like 20%, something like that.
Right. So, I mean, can we not, once we've reached that, just get on with our lives?
Yeah, I just don't understand why you'd need to extend till July, September, whatever, if this is about, just mitigating it. But it doesn't seem to be. They honestly seem to be.
If it's about, saving lives, protect the NHS, then you vaccinate the old people, and then everyone gets on with their lives.
Yeah, but that doesn't seem to be the policy. The policy seems to be that we're going to just do this until it's exterminated, which doesn't really make sense.
Jesus Christ.
Because of the costs.
Yeah.
Because it's not just, oh, well, if we get rid of the virus, then all problems in the world are solved. There are other problems in the world to deal with.
Many of them caused by lockdowns.
Yeah, many of them caused by lockdown. So one of this was just, I was looking at the ONS figures. So the unemployment for this year has gone up. So it's at 5% now. So it sort of like goes down and then it peaks again, and it's expected to rise even further. So it'll probably keep going up, which isn't great. And for every percentage point of unemployment, what is that? Like, what, 600,000 people?
Something like that.
1%? Something about that? Which,
So millions unemployed.
yeah,
Brilliant.
which, great.
I mean, you can just, like, every day on my social media feed, I'll see something from, some local paper that'll be like, in Bristol today, Debenhams has shut. So the Debenhams in Bristol's just shut, and they're like, oh, what are we going to replace it with? And the answer is nothing. Nothing's going to replace it. It's gone. In the same way that nothing replaced our Sainsbury's here. It's gone. That's just it. These things are over.
They're not coming back.
And they can't come back because nothing can be open.
So we can get there's also the question of mental health. So if we can get the next one up, this is a case which got kind of famous. It's just come out, which is that a mother admitting to killing her disabled son, who was 10 years old, while struggling to care for him during lockdown. Now, this was in the previous lockdown, not the current one.
Awful.
And the previous one was much better. It was much more easy to deal with.
Yeah.
But she went absolutely bloody cuckoo, by the sounds of it, and decided to suffocate him to death. And she did, and she's admitted it. She's now guilty. So she believed that she was... there's audio recordings of her talking, and she believed that she was sacrificing her son to save the world, and weird stuff like this.
You did this, Boris. You did this. Your lockdowns did this. Drove this woman mad to the point where she killed her son thinking she's saving the country by doing it. You did this.
Yeah, so she's been found guilty of this. She was being charged with murder, then she admitted, no, it's not murder because I'm mental. It's manslaughter, so she denied the murder and admitted on the grounds of manslaughter with diminished responsibility. And to be honest, by the sounds of it, I do believe that she was just mentally ill and suffocated her son. Her son had huge problems with interacting. He had to go to a special school normally 5 days a week, and he couldn't because of the lockdown.
I imagine that he was suffering tremendously. She ends up going mad, basically.
Essentially, yeah, seems to be how it went down. This is just from the last lockdown. We have no idea how many of these cases or how many are going to be happening for this lockdown during the winter months, which are obviously going to be much worse.
But I mean, at least some old people may survive a couple of extra years. I mean, it's okay. It's just children we're sacrificing to sustain these elderly people. I mean, have we asked any of these elderly people how they feel about this? God, I'm not even going to start. Let's just carry on.
Well, I have some good news, so I can pick you up a little bit.
Oh, good.
So if we can get the first image up, I don't know if you got that, but I decided to look at the ONS data for suicide, and the data per year is about 5,000 people dying thereabouts, and it's pretty standard. It seems to be not changing that much, but with COVID, of course, a lot of people were worried, is this massively going to go up? People stuck at home, things like this. And here's just a data sheet. It's a bit of a boring data sheet to look at, but I've highlighted the important bits. It's largely the same, except for Q2, where we've had the lockdown, which you can see a 56% drop in suicides. So it's about 500 people, which is nice. But you look back at that and you think about that time. It was a few weeks. I can't remember how long it was. And it was during the summer months, so people could have an easier time. Yeah. We don't have the data for Q4 for the winter months for the UK, which I can imagine are not great.
Yeah, because I mean, you can see in Q3 it just went straight back up to the regular level.
Yeah.
So,
but Q4 is obviously the worst because the winter months are the worst time to be alone. And with the lockdowns being much longer in a much worse part of the year, I imagine it's not.
And this doesn't cover things like murder and things like that, does it? Spousal abuse.
No, I just looked at suicides here because I was just looking.
So I've seen in America, the Center for Disease Control put out a report that said that there'd been 26% excess deaths in 25 to 44-year-olds. So more, 25% more, quarter more deaths in the young age range than usual. It's like, well, okay, how do you explain that?
And it's not just the adults. Josh sent me this, which is a study looking at children in Germany during the COVID pandemic. And they were able to get their findings to align with people in India and Brazil as well. So it's foreign, but it seems to be representative of how people are dealing
under
with
lockdowns.
Yeah. So their measurements here were quality of life was down 40% of those surveyed. And there were more mental health problems, a 17% rise, and a higher anxiety levels among the children, a 24% rise. and children with low socioeconomic status were those worst affected, which does make sense. We've seen a lot of this.
Not surprising in any way, shape, or form. And I just want to say, as a parent, I've seen the effect that this has had on my own children. It's hurting them.
Yeah,
It is hurting my children.
it's not going well.
Boris, you are hurting my children to try and save elderly people. I don't know why you think that's acceptable. I want this addressed.
It's a weird inversion of morals.
Yes,
and
it
then,
is.
there's just the absurd part of the People Must Die campaign. So
Yes, yeah.
if you can get the image 2, 3, and 4 up, just so we can show them. But the government decided that they weren't scaring the populace enough about what was going on, so they decided to release a new campaign to try and convince people. And here it is: if you go out, people will die, with an image of a guy presumably on COVID dying on a bed or something. Not the best messaging, not the best optics.
No. I agree. Yes, I mean, you can cut out the if part. People will die. That is a true and eternally true statement. And if they don't die, they're no longer people. All people die. Memento Mori, Boris. God damn.
And it wasn't just an online campaign, so you can get the next image up.
Yeah. I watched. My wife showed me an advert on TV yesterday, because I don't watch TV, obviously.
TV, radio,
Yeah.
and then the last one is just like a bus stop. Like, just a bus stop.
People will die. Yes, they will.
Like,
oh,
I'm
God,
just
yes,
going
they
to
will.
the shops. Leave me alone. What the heck?
Remember that you're mortal. Yeah, well, I know.
And I don't know why they did this. I think they're sort of Führer bunker mentality.
Yeah.
Where they're sort of just like coming up with stuff that doesn't make any sense.
But this is the thing. We've been saying this for ages. You know, they committed to a bad policy that has not had the effect that they want. I mean, I saw other articles that were saying, COVID's currently ripping through nursing homes and stuff like that. And so that's why the deaths are so high at the moment. It's like, well, those lockdowns worked, didn't they? Yeah. People will die, I guess.
But your point about, you will die, yes. I put this on Twitter, and the best response was big, if true.
But this is I wrote this Memento Mori article a couple of weeks ago because this is something that just really bothers me. But basically, like this is part of the teleology of a human being, right? Is you are born and you will die, and it's not just that you will die; it's that you must die. This is what a human. Part of being a human is your inevitable death, and it's the arc of your life, and then this is what the ancient Greeks looked at it. They didn't look at it as in, are you happy? You could only tell if someone was happy if they had a good life after they died, because you never know tomorrow what terrible catastrophes might befall you, and so you're just, you just accept that death is a part of life, and it is a part of the story of the human being, and in every culture, this is something people have to deal with. But anyway, this is basically my argument against this fantasy of eternal life that they expect us to have.